What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another FPL video on Fantasy Football Scout. It's team selection time. The last one was ages away, so we're only going to briefly go through Game Week 29, plus it was a pretty rubbish week for some of us. And then we're going to look ahead to Game Week 30. Gianni, how are you doing? How have you found the international break?
I've enjoyed it, mate. Do you know, I told myself I was going to stay off Twitter, which I 100% didn't do. I've been on as much as always, but I have switched off, I guess, to the Premier League, right? I've not been thinking much about my team. I've, of course, been watching a lot of football, 3 wins for my boys. International break's been nice. I've switched off from FPL, and I've only really, in the last 24 hours, started to heavily think about what I'm doing with my team, which has been nice.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I've switched off, but it's also felt really long, and I'm quite glad to get back into it now. Yeah. I think the break's always good. That's it now. We've got the business end of the season. No more breaks. I think there's only one more midweek game week as well, so it should be a good one. Lots of chaos. Just before we jump into it, we are partnered with Fan Team. We've spoken about this before. They've got a great offer. If you're not sick of the international break, you want more international football, you want to start planning for the Euros, they've got a €1 million Euro 2020 tournament, which is live already. So it's €1 million worth of prizes, 200,000 euro to the first place winner. And there's an early bird offer as well. So if you deposit enough to enter the Euro game, you get a free €20 ticket for the weekly monster event, which will be for this week for Game Week 30. So if you want to give that a go, there is a link in the description below. It is 18 plus, it is gambling, should be gambleaware.org, links to that in the description below. But yeah, take all your knowledge from all these World Cup qualifiers and stuff like that and the friendlies, and you can start applying it to your Euro 2020 team. I'll give you 3 tips. Harry Maguire, Harry Kane, I don't know who the other one, Phil Foden. I think he's maybe done enough to start. We'll have to wait and see. But definitely get 3 England players in there. And yeah, link in the description below. All right, let's look at FPL. Lazo, you actually did all right. I said it was bad for some of us. It was bad for me. But I think you did okay. 51 points was enough to get a green arrow for you. Veltman, obviously 10 points looks good. How did you feel about last week?
Yeah, I was happy. And just I'm going to have to pick up on your 3 England player tips, Andy, very quickly. I'd go Chiesa, Barella and Bastoni, 3 big names you'll learn a lot more about this summer.
I just want players that are going to go all the way through to the final, that's all.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we'll be there. I've watched Italy lose 2 European Championship finals now. I remember 2000. The pain. It was the Trezeguet and Wiltord late goals in, I think it was Amsterdam, and the Italy players were holding hands on the side of the pitch, ready to run on, and then it was the golden goal, and yeah, just heartbreaking. But it's all right. It was France that did us, and we beat them in 2006 to lift the World Cup. So whatever. Anyway, last game week, it does seem ages ago. Nice that I had a couple of big returns from players like Veltman. I actually, looking at my points, every player other than Watkins that I had playing did return for me. Obviously, the Bale benching was hard to take, and I was way short of getting an 11 out. But just goes to show you don't always need an 11 if you're in those blanks. It's about quality, not quantity. But yeah, Bale heartache, mate, especially because I had Son. So Son to Bale was a terrible move with hindsight. Obviously, we knew Son would be injured. We thought Bale would start. And now that's a move that I want to go back on. So it's effectively I didn't take a 4-point hit for it, but it feels like a 4-point move, having to go back.
Yeah, not ideal. I think a few people got suckered into that. I almost did it myself. I just knew that I would want Son long term, and I just wasn't. I don't know. Just wasn't 100% about Bale. I didn't expect him to play no part at all, though. I don't know if that's him sending a message to Bale, to the other players, or what. But I guess we'll move on, because last week there was only so many teams. We'll talk about. Yeah. We'll talk about Gareth Bale. So obviously you've got him, Newcastle away, great fixture, but you can't be sure he's going to play right. So what's your initial thoughts on him? Obviously you just talked about getting Son. Is that something you'll think about doing this week?
Yeah, so it is a move I'm looking to perhaps go back on. My problem was when I bought Bale in, I was very happy to do it as a short-term punt because I didn't want double Spurs attack. But now the double game week announcement in 32 for Spurs and the way that's fallen, I definitely want double Spurs attacks. It just goes to show how things can change at such a fast pace in FPL. Look, Newcastle is a great fixture potentially for Son, who should be well rested and should be fit. But I'm really waiting on the press conference here. Just maybe Mourinho surprises us and he goes with Son and Bale again. We saw about 3-4 weeks ago Spurs tearing up weaker opposition, winning 3-4-0 with both Bale and Son in the team with Kane. Against weaker opposition, Mourinho isn't scared to go with those three attackers. Against better opposition, perhaps he's not. I'd be very surprised if Bale was to play against United, for example, in game week 31. So I might just hold my nerve and give Bale one more shot. But yeah, for 32, I'm 100% bringing Son in. So it's just, do I do it now or do I do it in 32 for the double?
Yeah, I think that's a great point because. But I guess the only thing is, what would Mourinho have to say to make you think Bale's going to play? I don't think he's going to say anything, is he? So I guess you just have to just take that hit and hope. Or what?
The Son injury news? We might get something from him, but we might get something about Bale and his future because he's been talking about that. We might get something about Bale playing for Wales and having his minutes managed. I don't know. There might just be something, but yeah, it's going to be really hard, Andy. If the indication is that Son is 100% fit and available, then as a Bale owner, you're going, this is probably only a 40% chance of starting, even though it's Newcastle. So it's a tough one.
Okay, last question on this specific move. Bale to Son. Is there any, let's say you keep him because there's a chance he starts. We're not 100% on Son, whatever it might be. You keep him even with an eye to move him on later. Is there any way you think you can see yourself going for all three in 32, or is Bale just gone either way?
Oh, he's definitely gone either way. Also, for 32, I know it's a nice double up or potential triple up for Spurs attack. Remember, I've got Hugo Lloris as well, so my hands are kind of tied there. I've already got my third Spurs asset, and Hugo's not going anywhere. He's been brilliant for me. I know he's expensive, he's overpriced, but he's done well, and I'm very happy with him. So, yeah, I think it's very likely in 32 I'll be here with Son, Kane, and Lloris. Some will probably then go for that blank in 33. I just want him short term. So it might just make sense to cut my losses and bring him in this week if he's going to be fit and not risk the Bale willy won't he stuff.
Yeah, no, I like that, and also even if you didn't go for him for whatever reason, you've got Gundogan on the bench. Yeah. Now, is he on the bench just because the rest of your team is so good, looking good for this week on paper, as long as Bale starts, or obviously if you get Son in, or is he on the bench because you're worried about the fact that I think he played all three for 90 minutes each time as well for Germany, and he still couldn't stop them losing to North Macedonia, could he? So are you worried about his minutes?
He put it on a plate for Timo at 1-1, didn't he, as well? We've all seen that miss.
What is right? You're a Chelsea fan. It's the only reason I'm interjecting and kind of delaying the rest of the video a little bit. What has happened to him? How has he missed that? He's missed so many. Do you think we only need a brief one on this because you don't own him and you're not buying him? But do you think his confidence? Do you think this is another Fernando Torres situation?
Yeah, it's possible. I do think that we're going to see a very different Timo next season. And we just hear it all the time, don't we? Confidence with strikers. And, Frank Lampard's last game as Chelsea manager, Werner missed the penalty. And since then, and way before then, just big chance after big chance. And last night's was just the icing on the cake. It's just been terrible. And it shows you can go away from that environment, play for your club, your country, of which, by the way, Werner's done really well for Germany in the last year. But still miss sitters like that. So, yeah, his confidence is absolutely shot, mate. And obviously for FPL, you steer well clear. But next season, maybe it's a different story. I hope it's not another Torres.
I hope he gets a little bit of a price drop because I just don't think he's just completely a bad player now at all. The fact that he keeps getting into these positions is a good thing, but yeah, you can't keep missing him. And early on in the season, it was okay, he's missed a few, but he's going to get good. Now it's unforgivable. So I agree. I think reassess next year. But yeah, I thought I'd interject there because you talked about Gundogan putting it on a plate for him, and Gundogan scored at least once as well. He's just
he took a penalty, didn't he? He's
just on fire.
So it's good to see him back on pens and scoring them because we might see that at City. But yeah, you're right, Andy. He played 90 minutes 3 times. Cancelo played 90 minutes 3 times. If you look at City's players, Walker and Stones, Foden, all got a huge amount of minutes. But even Torres, started and scored for Spain last night. Not that he's a City starter, but I do think for City, I'm looking at their fixtures and it's something like 16 clear days between their last match against Everton and their next big game against Dortmund in the Champions League, right? I don't think Pep is going to be willing to go, yeah, you lot, you haven't played in 16 days. I'm going to throw you all in against Dortmund, the biggest game of the season for us. They
agree.
Want the champs. They're 100% starting this weekend. A lot of them, there might be 1 or 2 big names missing out. They will all be rotated against Leeds the following week. So Gundogan, he'll get 60. Foden he's a hard one to call. Cancelo, he'll start. they'll play against Dortmund. They'd have had a game behind them 3 days before, but then they'll get their rest against Leeds in 31. So yeah, I mean, you say you agree, Andy. So we're on the same wavelength, I guess.
Yeah, like, I literally recorded my own team selection video earlier, and it's basically what I said. I think not only have they not played for a while, and therefore, like, Pep is one of those managers that always talks about match rhythm, doesn't he? And like, players need to play to, keep playing, basically, to keep playing at a level that he expects from them. And also, it's Leicester. Right, it's Leicester, and yes, okay, they're not going to lose the league from this point, but Leicester is one of the teams right up there. He's going to want to get a good result there. He's going to want to be looking good going into that Dortmund game. I fully agree. De Bruyne, Gundogan. I think Gundogan, even though he's played 390 minutes, will still start. But I do think you're right about that Leeds game. I'm extremely worried as a De Bruyne and Gundogan owner.
Yeah, exactly. And this week I am looking at. I think Cancelo starts versus Leicester, but because he will, I think, miss out against Leeds, and obviously he doesn't play in game week 33, I'm thinking about selling him this week. So my transfers in this week will either be Son for Bale, or Cancelo, or potentially Veltman will come out for a Chelsea defender. So I don't own a Chelsea defender. I would love one. Now, I know Rudiger's the safe bet, and I know he's brilliant value, but because of where I am with my rank, and because I've just got an attachment to him in FPL.
Are you going to say Alonso, or are you going to say
I'm going to say Alonso, mate.
Okay.
So I've gone because I've thought about the fixtures on this. So because I know what question you're going to have for me on that.
But do you have your wild card still?
No,
you don't. You used it in Game Week 24.
Got my free hit.
You got your free hit. Okay. I actually think the free hit might be a little bit better for the end of the season, but that's a whole different discussion. So here's my only question. I don't necessarily think it's a bad pick. A lot of people are thinking about bringing him in, but a lot of people... Yeah, exactly. So what do you think about his long-term prospects? Because someone like Azpilicueta is... People would see him as a boring option, but he ticks over with points so much, and he can get attacking returns as well. I know he's playing...
in a 3.
Yeah, sorry. I know he's playing in 3, but he still gets forward at times. So
he does. He gets way more forward than Rudiger on the left side centre back. Like, we know those deep crosses from Azpilicueta, right centre back. When Morata was in the team, those two linked up really nicely for headers. But without a number 9, a recognised number 9 that will head the ball, Azpilicueta assist threat does dip. Now, Alonso, we know, like to play as a left-sided forward. When he does play, more likely to get those attacking returns. And it is a big if, and of course he will miss games. The games he's missed recently for Chelsea were United, Liverpool and Leeds. The games he started were Newcastle, Southampton, Everton. So against weaker oppositions that play a bit deeper, Alonso does start, which makes me think Chelsea's next wave of fixtures, they're against teams that are more likely to play the low block. Therefore, Alonso is more likely to start. He also didn't play for Spain, so he's had a rest. Chilwell has played for England and actually took a knock late in the game last night. And I think Chilwell will play in the Porto games. And I think Chilwell will play against Man City in the FA Cup semi-final. Either side of all these fixtures, the 2 Porto games and the Man City game, you've got really nice Premier League games for Alonso, which include West Brom, Palace, Brighton, West Ham, Fulham. Those 5 fixtures, I think Alonso starts 4 of them. So yes, he is a rotation risk. But for those fixtures, I think I've convinced myself. I was set on Rudiger for the last fortnight, and only this morning I've started thinking Alonso. And yes, later in the season you could go safe. But do I want a Chelsea defender from 35 onwards?
No.
They've got City, Arsenal, Leicester, and Villa. No thanks. I'll buy Trent.
Dang, okay. Well, you've almost convinced me, to be honest. I didn't like. Obviously, I appreciate he's played a few games, but maybe you're right about the tougher games. Chilwell comes in.
I've spent a lot of time looking at it, mate. I haven't posted about it or anything. This is the first time I've spoken about it. But
I really want Alonso. I really want Alonso. For anyone that's not played FPL before, until this season, or maybe hasn't seen Alonso, when he's playing in a back 5, I'd rather have him than Trent. In Trent's I don't know, at Trent's peak he was damn good, but Alonso's the man, isn't he? Because he is basically a left forward. He is the one that everybody wants. It's why everyone's talking about a punt. And plus, I guess if you've got a bit of a bench, then it's fine. Yeah. Only question is, Pereira is injured. You think, or potentially? Sorry, okay, he's not injured. Let me say he's flagged. We'll have to wait and see if he's okay. He might be. Are you worried about him at all, or are you just looking at Leicester's fixtures?
Yeah, do you know what? If Pereira's out, then I don't mind because I don't want to play him in the next 1 or 2 weeks anyway, and then their fixtures are brilliant. So it'd be silly to sell him unless he's out long term. If he's out for more than a couple of weeks, he's the easy sell. And I am waiting for the Brendan Rodgers press conference with an update on that. And look, I'll be looking at training pictures. He wasn't called up for Portugal because of his injury. Rodgers did say before the international break he thought he'd be back for this week. So let's see how that's materialised. But he's obviously had issues, Pereira. So yeah, it could be Veltman that goes, because I only really want Veltman for game week 33. He's got the Sheffield United, but other than that, he's not going to play, and I've got money in the bank. Or I need to inevitably sell Cancelo soon, probably anyway, because I don't want to go into game week 33 with 6 players not playing, i.e., all of my Spurs and all of my City players. So I need to sell a few of those assets. So I think I'll probably go into 33 with a bench of my Man City midfielders, Foden and Gundogan, and probably Harry Kane will be my 3 subs not playing, and the others would have been sold.
Well, we should quickly talk about that, because you're talking about benching players in a week in 33 where there's a blank, and you have your free hit. So are you tempted to save that for a different week then?
And again, like my transfers this week, Andy, really should be veering towards my chip strategy, but I'm still caught in 2 minds, right? If I'm free hitting in 33, I could keep Cancelo this week. If I'm not free hitting in 33, maybe Cancelo is my sale this week. So I'm still in 2 minds. Do I free hit in 33 in the blank, where I could go triple Liverpool attack for their Newcastle fixture? I don't have to worry about selling Spurs and City assets. Or do I wait to 35, where there could be a big double and free hit in a big double game week, where of course loads of people have lots of doublers, but I'll be able to target teams that perhaps have the more favourable fixtures that many don't own. Like it could fall that Leicester have 2 good fixtures, and I could bring in Vardy, or I just like the ceiling of doing it in 35, and I am edging towards a free hit 35. And if that's the case, I can now start to consider what I'm doing with my Man City assets and potentially selling 1 or 2. But I do want Foden and Gundogan. I don't want to sell these guys. Cancelo is one I'm willing to sell. But Foden and Gundogan, when they play, they will get me points. And yes, they might only play 5 of the last 9. I'm happy with that. They're cheap.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, I'm in a very similar position with the free hit, and I'm kind of the same with my strategy. I'm starting to get rid of my Man City players, knowing that I might not want a free hit. The upside of the double game is interesting. Obviously, it's hard to talk about it now. It might not even happen. And even if it does, we don't know who's going to play, so it's tricky. But it's good to keep your options open. I think that's why the free hit is actually quite a powerful chip for the run in. Obviously, I know a lot of people are going to wildcard next week. But I don't think their teams are going to be massively different to the current ones, especially with that double gaming now. That's kind of put a bit of a hole in the plans, because they're going to have to go with 2 Spurs at least. So that takes 2 positions straight away, right? So I'm interested to see what wildcarders do. Are you worried about that at all? Everyone wildcarding next week?
No, like I'm having a lot of back and forth with Toby, who keeps telling me I shouldn't have wildcarded and how amazing it is that he's going to use his next week. And I'm looking at it going, yeah, enjoy your team, mate. Happy wildcarding to the team I've already got. Like, there's not going to be a massive, massive difference.
You're going to have 2 Spurs attackers. They're going to have Chelsea defender, maybe a double up on Chelsea defence.
They'll have Bruno.
They're also... I think they've also got quite a hard decision to make, because Man City are playing Leeds that week.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can get the right players, that's great. But if you get the wrong ones, then you've wildcarded into 2. Like I said, I've got De Bruyne and Gundogan. You've got Gundogan and Foden. I'm just not sure who's going to start that Leeds game and how many minutes they're going to play. So, yeah, I think let us know down below if you're a wildcarder. How confident are you feeling? Because I don't know. I know a lot of people that saved it for, was it game week 16 last time? But they got to game week 16. They actually had a team they were pretty happy with, and it was tricky to do. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But anyway, that's going a bit off topic because we're not using that. I don't think there's really too many other questions to ask, to be honest. The team on paper again is looking pretty good. You've still got no Salah, and you're gonna have to remind me because I can't remember. What's the long-term plan with him? Are you just ignoring him?
Yeah, so the plan is the players up. So Bale will move to Son. I don't know when, maybe this week. Cancelo will probably move to a Chelsea defender. And then that allows me to upgrade to bringing Jota in. So Jota comes in for either Rafinha or one of my City midfielders, and I'll have money in the bank to do it. And then I've at least got Liverpool cover. And then when Alonso goes, if it's Alonso or my Chelsea defender, Trent comes in. So I'm likely to finish the season with double Liverpool, but it will be Trent and Jota. And of course, I'd love Salah. And I was thinking, can I go Jota and Salah double up? I don't think I can. But when I do free hit, it's very likely that it will be on a favourable week for Liverpool, whether that's 33 for the Newcastle fixture or 35 when they could have a double. And therefore, Salah will get a bit of loving, but he just won't be in my team. But he'll probably be in a free hit team.
Interesting. Yeah, we've got very similar teams and thoughts. I've gone the other way. So I've got Salah, no Fernandez. And if I free hit in 33, then I'll definitely have Fernandez. He's playing
Yeah.
Leeds. So, yeah, it's an interesting one. All right, good stuff. Let's see how you do. We'll be back the same time next week. Just before I shoot off, just quickly talk about Fan Team again. There is a link in the description below. €1 million worth prize. So for anyone that's playing the long-term Premier League game this season, which is a bit like FPL, this is exactly the same kind of prize money. €1 million up for grabs in total, 200 grand to first place. And if you sign up now, you get that free ticket to their weekly monster event this week. So make sure you check out that link in the description below. Gianni, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, mate. Good to chat. It's been a while, and I look forward to checking in next week with hopefully a nice green arrow. I'm not that confident moving forward, but I'm fairly confident about my game week 30 because on paper it looks good. But I've said that a lot this season, haven't I? I've on paper my teams look brilliant. Yeah, you know, I've never had a season like it. So fingers crossed, I have a strong run in. The aim is still top 100k. So let's hope I get there.
Yeah, definitely doable. I think next week will be more interesting in general because this week a lot of people have got teams left over from the blank. So there's a lot of similar teams that have got, you know, Leeds versus Sheffield United, etc. But next week we've got the wild carders. People are going to make different moves as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Make sure you check it out. Hit a like on this video if you have enjoyed it, and subscribe so you can check out next week's. We'll also be back with team news and stuff like that tomorrow, and Breakfast Club on Saturday. And at some point over the weekend there'll be a Scoutcast match day. Do you know what date game we're doing yet?
I think we're doing Sunday. It's going to be Sunday night. I think it's 7:30 kickoff. We've not done United in ages, and we want to have an eye on Brighton. So we're going to do United Brighton for the Sunday night one. So do join us at 7:30 Sunday.
There you go. Make sure to check that out as well. So hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. And yeah, we'll see you again soon.